Welcome back to Wave of Dalker, State of the Orioles Address, Episode 8, 22-36, last in the American League East. But per my last State of the Orioles Address, I said we're going to take the little victories. We just swept the Chicago White Sox. I think we're 6-8 in our last, or 6. We've won 6 out of our last 8. We went like 4-2 on the homestand. I think that's a successful, wait, no. How did we do on the homestand? There's me again. Oh, we went 4-2 on the homestand. What did I say? Didn't I say 4-2? You know what? Whatever. Last video came after that Nationals lost. I want to say. Let's look
State of the Orioles address for 25.
Yeah, it's coming on the tails of a 6-game losing streak. Wasn't it 6 games? No, it was. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-game losing. Oh my God, it was that bad. You know what? Whatever. But I said, what did I say at the end of this video here?
You can be a say that the season is dead if on June 2nd we are, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 games between now and June 2nd. If we
Some mental math there.
if we're 20, no, hold on. 13 games. If we're 18-40.
Hey, we're 22-36. We are 4 games above my season is dead. And you know what? Winning. We won 7-13. That's, it's the little things. Keep it moving. But after sweeping the White Sox, and obviously it's the White Sox. Blah, 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 blah. You play the teams in front of you. I'm not upset about beating a bad team. I think we are a good team under all the shit and rust and all that gross stuff. I think we are a good baseball team. And you got to play the teams in front of you, and sometimes you need a little confidence boost series, and that's what this was. Eflin with a gem, Dean with a gem, Morton with a gem, and sure, we scored 9 runs over 3 games against one of the worst teams in baseball. But you know what? We won those games. Good teams win ugly games, and I don't think these were ugly games. I think these are just, slow, turn the crank kind of games. But 7-6 over that 13-game stretch that I talked about. Could have won this game against the Red Sox. The 19-5 loss was insane. Povich with leaving after the 5th with in line for the win, up 2-1, and losing 19-5 is just ridiculous. But going a little 3-game run here, another 3-game run here. We could have won both these games against the Cardinals. I think good baseball was had, and I think our starters have been awesome over the last week, especially Dean. He had that great start against Boston. Eflin had a great start. Cade had a rough start against St. Louis. He had that great start against Boston. I think our starters are in a good spot right now. Jackson Holliday's hitting out of his mind. Ryan O'Hearn is hitting out of his mind. I think there's a lot of good going on in Baltimore right now. And my mindset, my thought process is if it's, I think we have 50 games until the trade deadline is what I saw. We have 104 games left, 50 games until the trade deadline. I'm going to do the math here. So we've played 58 games. So 108. So if we are... Oh, God. I'm a journalist. I'm not a mathematician. Well, I said if we're within 5 games of 500 by the All-Star break, at least, I think that's my benchmark of is the season dead? That's all very arbitrary, but still. So let's see. 5 games within 550 games left. So if we go... Well, I did see... Hold on, let me pull up something else. Andy Kotska. Yes. Here we go. Our 9 games back for wildcard spot, 104 games remaining, 50 games until the trade deadline. To be at 500, we have to go 32 and 18. So we will be 50, 54 and 54. If we're 49 and 59, I think that is... Wait, no. No. Whatever. If we're within 5 games of 500 by the trade deadline, I think that is a success. I'd love to be over that. I'd love to go, 32 and 18. I'd love to be 500, but I think when Tony Mansolino, I'm just totally rambling, but when Tony Mansolino came in as interim manager, he said the goal is to get to 500. And I think we've been playing relative, 500 baseball. Obviously, we haven't been 500 since he's been the manager, but wait, actually, have we? Have I made a mid? Was Brandon Hyde fired in the midst of? I can't remember.
Welcome back to Wave with Dawker. State of the Orioles address. First one in 2 weeks. I've actually kind of been just doing these in 2 week increments. I feel that's I think last year I was doing them every week. Or last year I was doing series preview. Well, that's happened in 2 weeks. Well, let's see. 2 weeks ago, it was when Cinco de Mayo. Kansas City 1-4. We've gone 2-10 since. And yeah, it's been ugly. But you know what? We fired Brandon Hyde.
Okay, so he was fired.
And I feel like kind of the consensus was that was a good thing. And I agree. I think, Brandon Hyde, all respect to him.
I think that the vibes are high. I think it was game 2, that Saturday game, that Dean started, when Kobe Mayo was trying to draw that interference and the benches cleared. There was a little bit of fire. And I was talking about that the team needed some fire under their butts. And they needed to, feel a little pressure to do well. And I think that has, Gunnar already has 1.9 WAR. What? Damn. The vibes are high, at least for me. Maybe because I'm just a big Orioles fan, and maybe just because I don't like to be a pessimist, and maybe because I have the luxury of being an Eagles fan. But I think the vibes are high right now. I think this team can go 32 and 18 between now and the All-Star break. I think it's possible. Ryan Hearn's playing great baseball. Obviously, there's a lot of injuries, but if we get Westbrook back, if we get Kowser back, if we get Mullins back, I think that gives that bats to the people that are playing well. Ryan Hearn's been playing every day. Holly's been playing every day. Gunner's been playing every day. Adley is still. It's rough. It's ugly, and it's making me sad. But, he's drawn the most walks on the team, so that's cool. But I think the tide is beginning to turn, and I've said that a bunch of times throughout this season. We've stumbled a bunch, and it's been ugly at certain times. But this is like the first time in a few weeks where I feel like I'm saying the tide is turning, and I actually kind of mean it. We have 2 3-game winning streaks over a little over a week. Winning 6 of our last 8 games following, an 8-game losing streak. This feels like the first time it's like, maybe this isn't a singular anomaly. Maybe this is actually like we could actually have something here. And we're going on a road trip. But if you look at these teams, Seattle's first place, that's going to be a tough series. I think that we've done well against Seattle over the last few years. The Athletics just got swept by the Blue Jays. I think we can win this series. Detroit's the best team in baseball. This is going to be a dogfight, but I like these guys that we got up. Going to face Scooble again, and he's, Terry Scooble. We got Los Angeles. We got Tampa Bay for 4. We got New York for 4, so let's see. So 2 weeks from now, it's going to be the 26th. So, and it's an off day again. How about that? Wait, no, that's not right. The 16th. Jeez, I'm cooked. So let's see. So I'll be posting the next video before this Tampa Bay game. So we have 4 series in between now and then. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 games between now and then. We are 22 and 36, 14 games under. So we can't, get back to 500 in between this. But if we can go 8-4 over these next 12 games, I think that'd be awesome. Get to 30 wins, get within that 10 games under little mark there. I think that's possible. And because what did I say for the last time? I said we had to go like 10-3 over 13 games. We went 7-6. Obviously, totally subverted that. But I think the route that I drew out was went 2-3 with Milwaukee, split Boston, beat St. Louis, and beat Chicago. We could have beaten St. Louis, we could have beat Chicago. We obviously beat Boston, and these are very winnable games against Milwaukee. Let's see. So we have 12 games. I think we can win both of these series. This will be a dogfight. I'd love to see us, have a competitive 3 games and not just get punked by them. And we could win this Los Angeles series. So if we go 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, so that's 6-3. And I think we could definitely sweep Oakland and sweep Los Angeles. I don't know. I don't want to, draw out another roadmap for this sort of thing. But I think this this next 2 weeks will be... I'm not saying that this, after this sweep is, an entirely new team, but there's an increased level of confidence, I think, but in the clubhouse. And they're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. Obviously, it's still only June, but I don't know. I think these next 2 weeks. I mean, I said last 2 weeks. I said if we're 18 and whatever, then the season's dead. But I think this next 2 weeks is where we really see what do we have here. And obviously, the team won't be fully healthy in these 2 weeks. But I think, playing with what we have and coming off of a sweep, and like I said, the confidence is kind of high. If this can be a 500 2 weeks, if this can be, a 4-2, 5-1 little road trip and come back into town with Detroit, with our head high, I think that'd be awesome. And like I said, I was talking about the starters. Kramer's been absolutely fantastic over his last few weeks. Morton has pitched 30 innings over the last 2 weeks. He's been awesome. And, Dean finally got, positive WAR, 500 record, and a sub-5 ERA. But, look at his last few starts. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 5 1/3. These last 2 were kind of rough, but 7 innings, 2 earned runs. I think he's been awesome. And then we look at Morton, his last few appearances. Search it. 6 2/3, no earned runs, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 1/3, 1 earned run. These are obviously long relief appearances, but he's been fantastic over his last 5 appearances. Eflin had that great start on Friday after kind of a bang-up start before that. 2 bang-up starts before that, really. But, if we can get this, obviously we're playing the White Sox, but I don't care. You can say that in the comments. I don't care. But, 7 innings, no earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. That's fucking butter. Sugano has been fantastic all season. 323, 4-3, awesome. He kind of got banged up early, but going 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 1/3, 4 earned runs, 7 1/3, 1 earned run, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Awesome stuff. I think our starters are in a really good spot right now. We've kind of been able to conserve Batista a little bit. Brian Baker with that great save last night. A lot of good is happening right now. And obviously I talked about Ryan O'Hearn. I think he's on like a 12-game hitting streak. We had no hits yesterday. Beat 11 RBI on a walk. He's batting .329. I think that's second in the American League behind Aaron Judge. Maybe he's in third now. But this is just an awesome season from a guy we got for 2 pennies and a bag of chips from Kansas City. I really hope he doesn't turn. Actually, my main concern with this team, and especially these next 2 weeks and then leading up to the All-Star break, is that I hope this team can pull themselves up by its bootstraps and get to a point where at the All-Star break we're not selling and we're buying. We can turn Mountcastle on some prospects into something. We can turn Kerstad and some prospects into something. If Mayo, because I don't think Mayo is part of the long-term part of this team. He's actually looked all right in his last few games since being called up. But I don't want to see us get to a point where Michael Elias feels. And I want Mike Elias gone. I've been pretty open about that. But I don't want this team to get to a point where we're selling and we have to ship Ryan O'Hearn and like Cedric Mullins off. I'd like for these those two players to be veteran pieces for a team that, if the season can become something, can turn it into something great in 2026 and 27 and 28 while we still have these younger guys under control. And I think just shipping out Ryan O'Hearn just when he's, finally, he's been a good hitter these last few years, but if he can end the season, batting, plus 300, I think that's an insanely valuable piece because, he can play right field, he can play left, he can play first base, he can DH. I just really hope we don't get to a point where, the front office is like, you know what, we got to sell, we got to, turn what we have into something for the future. I think we have a lot of what we need for the future. We just need a few more consistently reliable arms. And, I have been waxing poetic about the starters, but, we don't have an ace level guy at all, really. When Brad is back, if he can be even a semblance of what he was in 2023, 2022, I think that'd be awesome. But like I said, these next few weeks are huge, and I just hope that this team can get to a point where we're buying instead of selling. Because, I don't know, look at there. To lose Ryan O'Hearn, I love this guy. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, veteran presence. He's got a fire under him every night. I love Ryan O'Hearn. I love Cedric Mullins. I want this. I think this season can be turned around. Like I said, the vibes are high. The players are having fun. They're hitting well. They're pitching well. A lot of good is going on in Baltimore right now, and I'd hate to see that, turn into something sad and ugly because the front office feels like, and like even, going into this year, I was very hopelessly optimistic about the season. And like the writing was on the wall, but I think even, if the season becomes like, like a 70, 75 win, failure of a season, I think we can still go into 2026, 2027, hopefully without Mike Elias feeling like I think this isn't a zero-sum season, regardless of the outcome. Obviously, if we, shit the bed and win 60 games or something ridiculous, like I think this season can still be turned around. But even if it does become something terrible, I think I have confidence in the next season, the season after that, with hopefully someone new, that they can turn this into a competitor, which it should have been this year, but Mike Elias is done. But back to these next 2 weeks, I think this is a very, we're playing 3 AL West teams, and then the best team in baseball. And, Seattle is the best team out in the AL West, but I think, what did I say? If we can go 8-4 to get to 30 wins and, get within 10 games of 500, I think that's ideal. I think this team can do it. I'd love for us to rattle off, keep this winning streak into like a 7 or 8 game winning streak. I think that'd be awesome. But, 8-4 over these next 12 games, I think that is absolutely ideal. I feel good. I'll never be out in the Orioles. My main priority is just to get to a point where this team doesn't feel like they have to sell to remain in the mix over the next few seasons. I hope we can, I still want to trade some guys to get some guys, primarily just, some ace-type starter. And I think we have the pieces to do it without trading, O'Hearn, Mullins, or those guys that I care about, because I think I'm kind of out on Mountain. I'm kind of out on Kerstad. I think there's certainly some teams out there that see some value in that, along with some other, Dylan Beavers, Chase McDermott kind of thing, Kobe Mayo. But 8-4 over these next 12 games, I'm in. Even 7-5, but I think 8-4 is very possible. I think the team's playing with a lot of heart right now, and I feel good. We're back. O's are back. Maybe. Let's have some fun. Let's win some baseball games. Go O's. 6-game road trip. Let's turn up. 30 and 40. I see it. I see it. The light at the end of the tunnel. I see it. I see that. Oh, I see that light. I see it. Go O's. Peace out.